Trump is building for the future. After this July 4th, where Trump blatantly came out against communism and decreed the next 250 years will be even better, I got to tell you, he's backing it up. One of the ways he's backing it up is by the investment into our future young. You understand that one of the reasons the economy isn't turning around as quickly as people want is because there's only one way to do it as quickly as people want, and it's a temporary fix. It is stimulus. It is pumping money. Trump refuses to do that because that is sacrificing the future for the now. What Trump's doing is he's doing everything the right way. The way that will build wealth and prosperity for generations. And yeah, it's going to work a little slower at first, but he's cut taxes, he's cut regulations, and he's creating policies to create investment here in our manufacturing, get us off the teat of China and other places, while also investing in our children. And these policies are a little slower, but once they take off, we will see the best economy we've ever seen. I continue to believe that. One of the reasons I believe that is because of these Trump accounts, which today they announced that they are fully in effect now. And so here is a little breakdown. This is from Michael Dell, who is also donating billions of dollars into these accounts to get them started for our children and our future. But this is a prime example of how Trump's vision for the future is so much deeper and better and long-lasting than he's getting credit for.
Susan and I are very honored to be here as we celebrate the 250th. 42 years ago, I started a company in my dorm room with $1,000. And today, every newborn American child will start their life with $1,000 invested in America's greatest companies, compounding for the future. But Susan and I didn't want the children that were born just before to be completely left out. So we are contributing $6.25 billion, $250 to 25 million eligible American children born between the ages of 2016 and 2024. Invested in America's greatest companies, for their future, for their tuition, for down payments, for startup capital, for a business. And to every business leader out there who hasn't already joined us, please join us. 250 years ago, our founders, in the Declaration of Independence, which is right there, pledged their fortunes to an idea. Today, we're pledging our fortune to the next generation of children. So to tens of millions of American children, your American story starts now. Thank you. Susan.
Amazing stuff. Listen, I get there's real anger at billionaires, and because there's a lot of people who've taken advantage of stuff. But to be honest, they've taken advantage of what the government's allowed them to take advantage of. Let's just be honest and real about that. That's what the system set up. If you were a billionaire, you would take advantage of tax loopholes and such too. I'm not saying they're all good. Obviously, there's evil ones like Bill Gates and etc. There are, but that's not most of them. And many of these people are patriots, and this is a good example of true patriotism. Billions of dollars donated to give our kids a future. It's incredible stuff. And I think these Trump accounts are going to have a real effect.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am so grateful to you for making the Invest America Act happen. You have made investing in America's children such an important initiative for our country. These accounts are a statement of belief in our nation's young people, and believing in our country's children matters enormously. The incredible leaders of our future leaders of our country are the young children that we are raising today.
Amen. They list it very, very well. Now, based on what these Trump accounts will do, now these Trump accounts are kind of like 401ks for kids. They got to wait till they're 18, and they'll build slowly based on like what they're. I don't know how they all work yet. I haven't been in it yet for my kids, but I'll tell you, here's the estimates they're putting out there from a Council of Economic Advisors. If there's no contributions made, and it just starts with this $1,000 for 18 years, they believe that by age 18, each kid will have $5,800. That's amazing. And there, unfortunately, there'll be lots of kids where their parents don't put anything else in. But it's still, you know what I could have done at age 18 with $6,000? That would have been huge. It would have helped me get my first apartment, maybe put a down payment on a car. It would have been massive. I would have gladly taken it. If you put your contributions in, by 28, if you leave it in, it's 18,000. If you put the maximum contributions as which you can put in 5,000 a year, they estimate it could get up to this. We could set kids free out of poverty completely. Now, obviously, not everybody's going to make those $5,000 a year. I get it. That's not going to happen. But just somewhere in the middle, and you set your kid up much better because of what Trump's starting with. It's incredible stuff. Incredible, forward thinking. But here's the thing that this doesn't account for. This doesn't account for the fact that this gets people invested early into true wealth. See, the only way to become truly wealthy is to learn how to make money work for you. That's the only way to become truly wealthy. You can work your butt off, but as long as you're substituting time for money, energy for money, you could be rich, but you're not truly wealthy. True wealth is when you don't have to work for your money anymore. Your money is working for itself. Very few people actually get there. This creates the idea of how people can get there. And by learning at a young age, the stuff that the vast majority of us were never taught, because they don't teach financial literacy in school. They don't want you. They want you to be an employee. They want you to be a slave to corporations and the government growing up. That's why everything is learn facts, raise your hand to go to the bathroom, stand up, sit down, be quiet. Everything in school, public school and college, is teaching you how to be a good employee who doesn't critically think, who just learns facts and figures and shows up and says, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. That's what you're taught in school. They don't teach you freedom. This is going to force kids and parents to learn the road to financial freedom. That, my friends, is a generational shift. That is what really changes things more than the money itself. That cannot be accounted right here. Because you better believe a lot of these kids, they find out about this, they're going to be taking stock. They're going to be watching their account. They're going to try to find out. They're going to be excited about this money. And yeah, some dummies will get 18 and they'll just cash it all out. Absolutely. Okay? They'll just cash it all out. That's going to happen. There's always going to be dummies. But even those kids will be on a better foot forward than before. So again, the financial literacy is going to be huge. Now, Elon's jumping in on this. 2 million SpaceX shares being donated to the Trump accounts, as Trump said in this interview.
Doing good. Yeah, he's moved on. Do you think, if you talk to him about donating SpaceX to something you might want to talk about, or donating SpaceX stock to Trump accounts?
Well, I think that he will do that. Micron, which is a great company, just did it. Yeah. Michael Tell is a fantastic guy. He did $6,250,000.
Are you ringing the bell next week or something?
And I'm ringing the bell right here, I think. They're going to have a bell, and it's New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. I said, what do you mean? They don't do both?
You're invited to the NASDAQ if you want to.
Well, well, that's interesting. It's very interesting. No, they're doing it together. It's the first time.
I can do that. I have
No, but do you know what they're doing? I was surprised. They're doing it together. New York Stock Exchange, I think Jeff is coming in, and the head of NASDAQ is coming in, and we're doing it together. See? It can happen.
Bringing people together. It's incredible. It's incredible. Again, this is all future forward. It's all thinking forward for the future. It's unbelievable stuff. But that's not all Trump's changing. As Peter St. Ong reports here, the best companies now do their growing in private, where politicians only let the rich in. Then they IPO after 100X is gone and dump the scraps in your 401k. But Trump wants to open up the 401ks. As Wall Street Map says, rich people are allowed to invest in good stuff like pre-IPO shares where regular Americans get leftovers. Trump wants to change old Labor Department rule so regular people can invest like the rich already do. In other words, they're opening it up so you can pick a company that hasn't on the stock market yet and invest in it. And that is where most of the money is started. Imagine being able to get investments in Tesla at $3 a share before they went IPO. Imagine that. SpaceX, think of all the people, all the employees who just became millionaires because of having stock before the IPO. This is what Trump wants to open up to regular Americans. It's no less risky than the stock market itself. In fact, it might even be less risky because these shares aren't being traded. Incredible stuff, isn't it? At least not at the same rate those other ones are being traded. This is how you win. Now, speaking of SpaceX and stuff, I've just recently told my kids, are about to, they're getting their first jobs. I say, listen, every month, buy one share of SpaceX. Just buy one, whether it's 150, 140, 175, just buy one. Because in 10 years, 20 years, those shares might be $3,000. I would bet on SpaceX over pretty much anything. Is they're about to thinking of already buying T-Mobile as Elon might eventually merge Tesla into it. You never know. But am I going to bet against that company long term? Am I going to bet against Elon? Absolutely not. Teach your kids little stuff like this. It's incredible stuff. Go move forward. But Jimmy Carter started this. Why do you think Jimmy Carter started this? We were told it's for our protection. No, it's not. It's so you can't grow your wealth. That's what the government's been trying to do for all of us for a long time. We were told it's the rich that wanted us to not be wealthy, but no, that's not it at all. See, most wealthy people understand that it's not like they don't have this scarcity mindset. Most wealthy people have an abundance mindset. They believe there's enough for everybody and it can raise all tides. And for most of them, it's a good thing. They look at it that way. More rich people can buy more. No, but the government, on the other hand, has the opposite feeling. And corporations that are in cahoots with the government, who don't want competition. Yeah, and in those cases, there's some that would want to keep you down. The point, though, is that these are the people that were bad. That capitalism, by creating a natural marketplace, it eliminates this problem over time. But what did the government do? It creates regulations that kill capitalism, create a crony capitalism or a corporatism that leads to socialism that eliminates the ability to generate wealth. And that's what they've been doing for a long time. Trump is working on erasing this stuff to get us to the point where we can build futures. And now kids are going to learn this from the very beginning. I'm telling you guys, this will generationally shift our government. Now, Trump's also done so much more. For everybody worried about BlackRock and all this, here is something Trump did back in the day that people forget about. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink worried about New York City under Mamdani, floats investing somewhere else. Now, BlackRock is no one we want to deal with. But people forget that Trump changed things with the Fed and Treasury back under COVID. In fact, right here, it says the Fed hired BlackRock Inc. owner, purchased securities, handle administration of SPVs on behalf of the owner, the Treasury. In other words, BlackRock will be doing the trades for the Treasury. This scheme essentially merges the Fed and Treasury into one organization. So meet your new Fed chairman, Donald Trump. This is what happened back under COVID when Trump, the bill he passed that got us our first stimulus checks, also brought the Fed and the Treasury much closer. And then they got control in many aspects. I mean, not direct control, but indirect control of companies like BlackRock, partnerships with BlackRock. So the BlackRock of that day might not be the same as now. Okay? It might not be the same as now. Again, these are generational changes, and it's probably the reason why BlackRock has been allowed to stay around with Larry Fink. Larry Fink is not a good dude. He's been trying to, BlackRock has done many evil things, but what has Trump been doing? They're about to pass a housing bill that's going to limit BlackRock purchasing single-family housing. And many people are like, why is Trump, why is he not taking out these tech companies? Why is he not taking out these Wall Street companies? Is it completely possible that Trump has already gotten them to submit in some way, shape, or form? Because ultimately, these companies, more than anything else, they care about profit. Profit, growth, and innovation. The vast majority of them. Is it possible Trump is steering them all in new directions because of what he has on them? I think the answer is yes. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, speaking financially, we've been hearing for a long time, and I've been one of those who've said it, that we have an AI bubble. And that's absolutely true. Why hasn't this AI bubble crashed? In fact, it's stumped many of us, including people I know who have much, much more knowledge and experience on Wall Street than I do. Friends of mine who've been around Wall Street for 40 plus years. They don't understand why a crash hasn't happened. And it's been kind of baffling. This is the first time I've ever seen a breakdown of why this might be. And this makes a lot of sense. Listen, Trump has expertly averted AI bubble crash by setting the scaffolding early. Is this possible? I think it might be. The old system was trying to run the .com playbook all over again, inflate the story, centralize the rails, overbuild infrastructure, trap the users inside, then let the crash land on the taxpayer while insiders pick through the wreckage. That very well might be what have happened, and it would have been the ultimate City of London move. They did it with .com in 2001. They did it with mortgages in 2008. They completely restructured our system by these crashes that they allowed to happen, that they orchestrated. So this assumes that Trump moved in before the cycle could close. He pulled AI out of the hype layer and placed it where it belonged in national security. Now, that is absolutely true. It says that changed the entire board. Now AI is no longer just models, apps, and press releases. It's energy, chips, data centers, grid capacity, federal adoption, military readiness, intelligence processing, infrastructure, model control, open source, sovereign data, and real-world deployment. This is the early scaffolding. He's right about all that. Trump has made all these deals with these AI companies. He's consolidated them. Fascinating. Data center build-out gets tied to permitting power. Grid gets tied to national defense. Model layer gets pressured by open source. Federal adoption forces accountability. Palantir becomes the operating spine that connects AI to real missions, real data, and real consequences. If he's right in this post, and so far there's nothing to suggest he's not, that I've seen. If he's right, this would mean that Trump, working with all these tech guys, has actually created the safety net for AI and put it in a way that A, keeps our stock market from crashing, which is exactly what City of London would like to do to Trump and the economy right now. But it also makes AI work for all of us in the right way. Is it possible that all the dooming about data centers is a psyop? Is it possible? Is it possible all the dooming about Palantir is a psyop? I believe yes. I keep listening to Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, and I got to tell you guys, I'm not scared of what they're saying. I'm just not. I continue to hear it, and I do take it seriously because so many people keep bringing it to me. So I do take it seriously, but I keep looking into it, guys, and all I see, the fear is always speculative, and I can't find the evidence that backs up the fear. I just can't. This makes much more sense, and it would also explain why Trump is supporting this stuff. Because he might have the exact hold on it to make it all work. He says, this is how you turn a bubble into a stress test. The bubble does not disappear, it gets aimed. Those building real infrastructure rise. Those building another extraction machine take the hit. The old system wanted private upside and public cleanup, not this time. No more AI bubble burst on the taxpayer's back. No more monopoly dreams hidden inside black boxes. No more pretending hype's infrastructure. Open source pressures from above. Sovereignty pressures from above. Truth forces exposure. Align your model, your data, your infrastructure, your incentives to sovereignty or take the fall. Trump was never reacting to the AI race. He was a million moves ahead, setting the rails early so the good guys could rise, bad guys could absorb the hit, and the whole system would be forced to show who's building the future and who is selling it. I think there actually might be some trust here, guys. I actually think there might be some trust here, or some truth here, because what Trump's been doing has been baffling a lot of the people scared of technocrats, while at the same time dismantling the technocratic system coming out of Europe that they already live in. So he's been dismantling the technocracy that Europe lives in, that Obama tried to get instituted here and started to institute here. That's all being dismantled. And yet at the exact same time, he's been cozying up to guys in the tech world, Mark Andreessen, Elon Musk, David Sachs, Palantir. Is it possible that those guys are all aligned on the sovereigntist side of things. Those guys are all aligned on making this stuff work for the people. I'll tell you what, one thing we've heard so much so far that has not happened yet is that there's going to be mass firings. There has been some, but you know what? They're not telling you. A lot of those companies are rehiring many people because the AI boom to come to destroy our working man economy is just not happening. It's just not. What they're finding AI useful for is much different. In fact, they're finding that it's creating more productivity, but also needs to be managed more by people. And so it's creating an economic boom while not killing jobs, guys. This is not being reported, but that's what we're seeing. Think about this. AI, ChatGPT really came on the stage in 2022, 4 years ago. Around this time is when, 4 years ago is when I started using it a lot. Have you noticed that everybody said we'd all be completely wiped out by now, jobs-wise? Have you noticed that? And yet, it's 4 years later. Where's all those firings? Do most of you guys still have your job? How many of you guys have lost your job because of AI? Despite all the dooming, there's 1,100 people on here right now. Shouldn't there be a lot of you coming out and saying, like, if this was a huge problem, shouldn't I see at least 50 people say that they got fired? You know, shouldn't that, you know, shouldn't we see that? Where is that? I don't see it. Interesting. Is it possible that AI is going to do what the internet did and actually create an economic boost for us and make it easier for the small people to make a lot of money? I think that's actually very possible, and I can tell you from my own experience. But this is not the only thing that's happening. Trump is taking off other guardrails from tech that we didn't even know was there. Look at this post. This is crazy. This is from Akash Gupta, product guy. 6-hour flight to LA to New York is about to become 3 hours, and it's legal because engineers figured out how to bend sound. Since 1973, it's been a federal crime for any passenger plane. Sorry, guys, I keep getting this like itch on my nose. For any passenger plane to fly faster than the speed of sound over American soil. That's why your cross-country flight takes the same 6 hours it took your parents in the 80s. Planes got faster, safer, and more efficient. They never got faster. The law made faster illegal. The original reason was real. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Here's what changed. Speed of sound isn't constant. It shifts with air temperature, which shifts with altitude. NASA measured what people underneath actually hear. Faint rumble, no crack, no broken windows. So the FAA's new rule flips the logic. New rule. That means instituted by Trump in this new era, by his new bureaucracy. Instead of banning the speed, it caps the sound allowed to hit the ground. Stay quiet. You can fly as fast as the plane will go. Boom already proved that tech works in real test flight. Last time you could fly Supersonic, a Concorde ticket cost about $12,000 round trip and only cross the ocean. Next version flies over land over your house. You'll never hear it coming. Guys, we're about to get faster even flying because of tech, because of deregulation. These are the little things that don't seem like a big deal, but this changes so much. This means you go faster, flights go faster. Not only does your travel day get better, it means they can fit more flights in, which also means cheaper prices down the road. More abundance, more choice. Isn't that amazing? This is the kind of future we're looking at. Now, Trump, in this interview he just had, I think he's trying to get us to dream again about our economy. And again, I've said many times that the economy we might be seeing because of this American system he's reinstituting should be better than anything we've ever seen in our lives. And I think Trump's hinting at what's possible here.
Well, he's got a board that maybe is a little bit hostile, and, unfortunately, and maybe a board that wants to do the wrong thing. So I don't know. He's a great guy and a great pro, and I know where he'd like to be, but he has to do what he has to do. I really think that I would love to be able to get back. In the old days, probably maybe before you started thinking about these things, but if you go back 20 or 25 years, when you announced great numbers, the stock market went up. When you announced bad numbers, the stock market would go down. Today it's the opposite. When you announce good numbers, the stock market goes down, sometimes really way down, depending on how good. The better they are, the because they have this phobia, they have this horrible derangement syndrome about inflation. And growth can be good for inflation, not just bad for inflation. And it's a shame. Anytime numbers are announced that are not so good, I wish they could flip it the old way, that when you announce great numbers, because otherwise it's almost like they want to kill strength. They want to kill success. You announce good numbers. I want to, like, you have a couple of countries. India is one, doing very well, but it's at 7-8%. Others, take a look at Japan's numbers. I mean, they're doing very well. She's very good. She's doing a good job, a friend of mine. But they're allowed to go up. We're not allowed to go up. If we go up, they want to kill it. There's no reason we should stop at 4%. We should be at 12% and 13% GDP. And I hate what happens where in the old days we would be, that's how we built the country.
Yep.
Now you announce positive things and they want to bring it down by raising interest rates.
He's talking about the Fed system, 1913, the controlled growth and AKA what really was the controlled decline of our country over time. This is the Keynesian economics. This is what Obama really pushed. Now, it's been around since 1913 and they've gotten more and more control. But Obama was the one who came up and said 2%, that's going to be our new normal growth. That's what we can expect from now forward. 2% would be a good year. No, Trump, again, we have a free thinker in the office between Trump, Bissett, running our economy saying, no, we don't have to put these limits on there. Why do we have to keep taming our economy? Why do we have to keep it controlled? Because that's good for everybody except Main Street. Everybody except Main Street. But again, you back off of that, you get us back to the American system, and we can see explosive growth years. The last time we saw explosive growth was under Reagan, where we hit about 8% a couple years. We haven't seen that since. I believe we could see that soon if Trump succeeds in getting everything in place. Now, Trump was putting out this kind of stuff today. Dr. John Trump of MIT. Remember, Dr. John Trump is who inherited his uncle, who is MIT professor, brilliant man, inherited all of Tesla's stuff, his documents, his inventions, how he broke them down. That's who it got left to. What is Trump trying to tell us here? Age of innovation coming? Is there much more about to come out? You know, it's been long speculated that many of Tesla's breakthroughs were held back by the government. We've already seen what happens when you erase managed decline from the military. And look how effective they are now. Better than we've seen operations from our military that just we were told could never happen. We've never seen happen. Venezuela, the way we took out Iran's military, just unbelievable stuff. Is it possible that this is coming to many other areas as well? And speaking of Iran, people are starting to wake up to what's actually finally happened in Iran. How is a key to changing geopolitics going forward? As Matt Forney writes here, the Iran war effectively destroyed every nation outside of the Americas as a rival to the U.S. Man, I love when people start saying what I've been saying for 2.5 months, how Iran was the key. It exposed NATO, it exposed China, it reshifted the whole energy dominance to us. Man, I love when people wake up to this stuff. It makes me so happy. But it destroyed every nation outside the Americas as a rival. Iran's broken as a contender for power. They can't even sell their oil. Tankers are ignoring the IRGC, transiting via Omani, protected by U.S. Navy. Iran's too cowardly to commit acts of war off Omani. Oman's made it clear they'll never support Iran's delusional plan. Iran can't get a single tanker to dock at its ports. Their economy is a tailspin. Inflation is approaching pre-Malay Argentine numbers, which means hundreds of percentage points. A famine is a very real possibility. They import half their food. No one's willing to sell to a pirate state. Keep shooting at commercial traffic. See, you got to understand the Trump team probably knew this. Oh, sure, you guys can go sell their oil and then nobody buys it. Iran's failed to uphold its end of the MOU and hasn't received a single dollar in unfrozen funds. MOU was a test to see if they could behave. They failed. Demand destruction has been concentrated almost entirely in Europe and Asia. You hear this? Demand destruction concentrated in Europe, which that's the City of London system, and Asia, which is China and India. They're crippled. Trump used Iran to completely reassert our dominance on the world stage. Isn't it amazing? Just as I said, just as me, Tom Luongo, certain group of voices, Promethean Action, have been saying, Well, everybody else is out there dooming about Iran. We were trying to tell you guys, no, this makes so much sense. And look, it's happening. Trump has completely reshaped the earth. The complete geopolitical field, made us so much stronger in just 3.5 months. Wow, that's incredible. Chinese will be faced with the choice of switching off data centers, stalling development of AI they stole, or forcing Chinese citizens to eat babies. Starve or stop your AI. That gives us a bigger leg up. Europe, already deindustrializing thanks to Ukraine, has been dealt a death blow. They won't recover for decades, possibly generations. Denmark might end up selling Greenland to us to stave off a depression. Wow. It's almost like Trump knows what he's doing, huh, guys? War has forced countries relying on straight oil flows to accelerate Plan Bs in the same way 70s oil embargo forced U.S. to begin oil extraction in Alaska. UAE will complete new Gulf of Oman pipeline, rendering the strait obsolete. Oh, that's all we ever heard about, though. They control the strait. The strait matters. No, it didn't. Trump forced the world to do something different. Much like how the discovery of America has allowed Europe to circumvent the Middle East when trading with China, turn the region irrelevant backwater. Country benefited most was America. Iran's been severed from global economy and even from BRICS. Buyers now have to go to America or allies. Refineries in Texas, Louisiana are booming thanks to Venezuela realigning with the U.S. China will have to do what we say if they want energy. Trump just won the war against China without firing a single shot against them. It's amazing stuff, guys. Energy prices in the U.S. are now so substantially lower than in Europe and Asia. Offshoring and outsourcing are no longer financially prudent. Turns out the way for manufacturing to compete with cheap labor countries like India is to make cheap labor expensive. Jobs and investment are coming back to America, the only sure bet. With demand destruction creating oil glut, Americans will be enjoying $2.50 gallon of gas or lower by next year while the rest of the world starves. Iran war also crippled Russia. Combination of demand destruction, Ukrainian attacks on Russia sparked off an energy crisis there. That is true. But I actually do believe that Russia strengthened against Ukraine. This is the one area I disagree with them, but we can talk about that another time. In one stroke, Trump cemented American dominance over the world. Iran, China, India, Europe, Russia, Africa, all crushed. He pressed fix everything button, and all it took was paying 50 cents more at the pump for a couple of months. That was more than worth it. Empire rises. Do you understand how big a deal this is moving forward? I mean, restructuring geopolitics. For everybody who's like, oh, the American debt's such a big deal. How? Tell me how. Because the debt is only a massive deal if it can be held as leverage against us. You understand that? Yeah, I know it costs tax dollars to pay off the interest and stuff. That sucks. But as wealthy people understand, as long as you have more assets than debt, you're ahead. As long as you have more leverage than debt, if you are more important than the bank that loaned you the money, who's got the real leverage? What is the debt affecting? Trump has completely changed our future, folks. And he did it with still 2.5 years left. The enemy hasn't been fully cleaned out yet, but I'll tell you, they've been mostly defeated. And again, as I've been saying over and over and over again, the only way we lose is if we quit. That's it. That's the only way we lose. So we don't quit. We show up to vote. We fight. We do everything we can in our own lives to grow stuff, to move things forward, and we don't lose. But again, this is incredible, incredible stuff. And is it any coincidence that all this is going on? And then on the 4th of July, Putin reaches out to Trump to visit Russia. Is ARC coming into effect? Are America, Russia, and China making amends to get to a point where we will be the 3 world powers, with us being the only superpower? We'll be the 3 world powers who are sovereign, who police the areas around us, who trade with each other, get along, and make sure that the vast majority of the world is in peace and has, thriving economies. This does not mean they won't ever be rivals to us in certain aspects. It doesn't mean we won't compete with one another. It doesn't mean Putin's authoritarianism is good, and it doesn't mean communist China system is good. It doesn't mean any of that. It doesn't mean these are going to become our best friends. It means we enter into a mutual agreement where we all focus on sovereignty and how to get along with each other. That is a massive win. I believe that's what we're headed towards. And Trump is continuing to show that. Now, why will this last? Well, I think it's going to last because our culture is shifting. And I think we're only at the beginning of this cultural shift. Here is Asmongold, the #1 streamer in the world. He gets a lot of young people watching him. And here's him talking about the benefits of Christianity to our nation.
That's right. Is this something like, I don't want to mandate Christianity. I don't want to make people have to be Christian, but I want to have the laws and the culture and the predominant religion of the country be Christianity. Does that make sense? I would never force anybody into a religion, and I think people can enjoy other religions if they choose to, but I think these should be minority religions and not the overall religion. I just want you to see what my point of view is.
So you have Asmongold telling his millions of watchers, mostly young people, that Christianity is the best way to run a nation. And people are dooming about the future? Are you kidding me? This man has far more influence than almost everybody in the media. He's got more influence than Tucker Carlson, more influence than Candace Owens, more influence than almost anybody but Trump. That's what it means to be the top streamer these days, especially with the young people. He's got more influence than Joe Rogan. You probably haven't heard about him, or many people haven't if they're 40 or older. I'd say 50 and older, because that's not his target demographic. But if he gets people believing, and already we're having a revival of Christianity in our nation. It's for the first time in decades, it's ticking back up. That's a cultural revival, folks. Our country is heading back in the right direction. And these are the kind of tells that we're headed there. And as I point out so often, the birthing rate. Trump voters have more children at every age, but widest among the young. And look at these numbers. They are staggering. So among ages 35 to 49, which is millennials, we're having about 1.5 times more children than them, say 1.3 more children. Where it's the birth rate's more, but not as much. 50 plus, much closer. Look at the youth, the young people. Generation Z. They have 3, almost 4 times as many kids as the liberals. That's the future, guys. That's the future. And for everybody who's like, kids rebel. Actually, 80% of kids don't. 80%. Oh, and by the way, they rebel on both sides, that 20%. So if we lose 20% of our kids to the left, which actually will become smaller and smaller as far fewer kids are going to public school and to college, as that 20% rebels, well, we'll collect some of theirs back. And it will be overwhelmingly red moving forward. We're heading, guys, to a much, much more red future. And by red, I mean liberty, patriotism, common sense, traditional values, free markets, gun rights. That is our future. More and more people heading in that direction, overwhelmingly so. This is our future. You guys are dooming? This is coming in 2030, just 4 years away. We win 2028, it's over for a very long time. Democrats could lose up to 15 electoral college votes after 2030 census. Republican gains Texas, Florida, Idaho, Utah. Democrat lost seats. And then there's a few toss-ups. With that reapportionment, it becomes, there's very few swing states. And it becomes Democrats actually have to flip flat out red states in order to win ever again. Once this generational change goes into full effect, guys, which will be in the next 4 or 5 years, it puts us in position, if we do not lose 28, the presidency, which we won't, but if for somehow they got it, then it just pushes us back a little bit, because the people are going to be so red in this nation, they're not going to be able to stay in power. But if we win in 28 and we retain the presidency, looking forward, we're talking about dominating the politics for a generation, which could be 20, 40 years. Again, folks, when you put all this together, and the shape of the economy, what's about to come, the booming, which will wake more people up, you put everything Trump's doing together, along with the demographic changes, we have a very, very bright future ahead. And so I won't accept any dooming on this channel. It's only getting better from here. Hit that like and subscribe, guys. We got a lot more coming.